Welcome everyone to the XMTP Developer Community Call. Thanks for being here. I'm Jay Ha. I work in Protocol Ops, and I'll be your host today. As you can see, the call is being recorded, and it's being recorded for the convenience of folks who can't attend live, which is perhaps half the world or more. So we post the recording to YouTube where people can watch and learn in perpetuity. The recording of this meeting will be posted in our community forum at the link that I'll put in the chat. So we can access it there. And luckily, we do have folks who do watch the videos afterwards, so there will be compounding effects for the recording. I'd also like to share a link to our code of conduct, the XMTP code of conduct that we invoke in the call and in any public gatherings we have of the XMTP community. And we share this code just to create a space where everyone feels welcome to share ideas and ask questions. And I think it's the perfect code to talk about as we begin our community call and set the vibe there. Along these lines, every few meetings, we do like to take a moment to acknowledge our mission as a community, and we invite everyone who values open protocols, permissionlessness, and private and secure communication that you own and control to join all of us in this mission. At the start of each meeting, thanks to Naomi, our VP of Engineering, who initiated the idea, we drop a new NFT on Zora, free to mint, and just as a thank you and a commemoration of each meeting. So I've just shared a link to that in the chat. A fun one today with Chill Guy and his Chill EDC. And now for the main event, I'd love to introduce a few folks who will take us on a journey I've been waiting to take for over a month now. We have Nicola Ceornea, and Markus Haas,
Hi.
co-founders of ethOS and builders of the dGEN1 Everyday Carry, who will be in conversation with Nick Molnar. He is one of the original XMTP core devs and CTO of Ephemera, and they'll share with us what it was like, what it took to build this truly groundbreaking device. Please take it away. Yeah.
Thanks,
Really,
Jay Ha. I'm just so excited to be chatting with you guys because, there's a lot of products in crypto that get a lot of hype, but I've never seen anything that's quite so inspiring where people really look at it and they see a whole vision of the future of how technology can work better to serve their needs and really a whole new tech ecosystem. I think there's something that just really clicked with people when they saw that video and saw the hardware as a product that's fun and imaginative and just really out there. And so I want to learn more, want to hear the story of ethOS and the dGEN1. Maybe you guys can just give us all a little bit of history of the project.
Yeah, I can start.
Yeah.
So basically, we started in November 2021. Nicola and I and another guy, we were building a dApp and protocol for Ethereum, basically a music protocol. And we wanted to make it so that people can listen to music on the go. So for us, it just came naturally. We have to do a mobile app for it that uses crypto. And while building that, we realized how bad the experience was for users and developers to create a mobile dApp. And so we're like already thinking, okay, maybe we should do something about this. And then randomly one day I was scrolling Twitter and I see a tweet by a guy, Mark Kidakowski, and he was like saying, oh my God, we need an Ethereum OS. We need a mobile OS that puts Ethereum as a first-class citizen. And that just clicked for me. And honestly, I was on a trip with my parents to Poland right at the moment. I have relatives in Poland. And so I just tweeted back at him, was like, yeah, that sounds like a nice weekend project. And I'll get started once I get home. And that's basically how I got started. I DM'd him, was like, hey, you want to do this together? And he was like, sure, I'll create the Discord. And that's how we got started. Then he invited me to Forecaster, and we just like started sharing our mission to get more people like excited and like help develop this thing, which was just an idea at the time. And so we started out as bring your own device. People basically had to buy their own pixels, go to our website, and then click install. But the thing is, with that, you needed to have like a specific pixel, and it had to be bootloader unlocked, which some carriers actually lied about. And so then we started, we basically had the idea, hey, let's do a collaboration with Nouns. Let's do a Nouns X ethOS phone. We got a grant from NounsDAO for that, and then we started selling basically this Nouns X ethOS device, which was a Pixel 7a that we bought, basically flashed our OS on it, and then repackaged and sent it off to people. And then we wanted to continue doing that, but then we realized how we have a problem. Basically, it's very hard to get like a huge supply of pixels. And so we always did like these very small runs of basically 2 runs of small batches, but there was definitely like people wanted to have an ethOS device. And so we started thinking, okay, let's do custom hardware. And we started talking with some phone manufacturers, and they sent us like their device. And honestly, they all, looked the same. They were all like, black bricks and nothing special about them. And we were thinking to ourselves, like, no one is going to replace their iPhone with this. No one is going to replace their even like regular Android with a crypto phone at the moment. And so we thought, okay, we have a problem. But then we thought to ourselves, maybe let's take this as an opportunity to create a fun secondary device that doesn't have to be a phone. That and since it doesn't have to be a phone, it can be exciting and new and look shiny. And we just basically went with that. And yeah, that's basically how we ended up at dGEN1. Over time, we got a few grants. NounsDAO, ENS. We also got some grants from some people at the Ephemera Foundation, and we also raised some small angel money from 2 investors, Balaji and Vitalik.
So for someone who hasn't used ethOS, how is it different from a standard version of Android that you might get on a Pixel?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I can go into it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me talk, man. So yeah. So I guess just to make to lay the groundwork. So ethOS is a fork of Graphene. So it's basically we start with basically fairly stock Android UI and whatever. And so for the dGEN1, we made like very, very deep UI changes, so it doesn't really look like your standard Android device. And so when it comes to like just the UX of it, it's very reminiscent of it. So we changed it. We kind of went with this very retro futuristic Robocop type vibe, but we still wanted to keep kind of that feeling, but like when it more like okay, so if specific, something that we want to really do is that to bring the protocols of tomorrow, which is ETH, XMTP, etc., into the OS. So we don't want to treat it like some app that you just run and for instance, what we do is at OS level, OS level, we have we natively run light node clients. For instance, we have the Helios and the Nimbus client, and this is going to obviously to expand in the future. We were thinking about I don't know, maybe having Waco nodes, XMTP nodes, if that becomes available in the future. And one of our big like UX points are kind of that really differentiate us from Android and iPhones is that we really treat the wallet as an integral part of the user experience. So when you start up your device for the first time, it already ships with a hardware wallet, which is saved in the secure element of the device, which allows us to do very cool stuff, like for instance, signing transactions signing stuff and signing transactions as part of the OS experience. So you don't really have to do the thing where you jump to MetaMask, it doesn't work, you have to go back in the browser and whatever. It's really it's part of the system. It's just like system UI, so you can just quit the application, return it, doesn't go back because it's part of the UX experience. And yeah, because you don't have to go through this middleman. It's much more snappier. It's easier to use, and really we increased the UX for crypto by a ton, at least from my point of view, obviously, but I'm biased.
Yeah, that does sound like a very different model of using your phone. Maybe you could tell me a little bit about how messaging works in ethOS and why the messaging app is different and better than what you get out of stock Android.
Okay, so for the people that don't know, I'm the main maintainer of the messenger, so I've wrote over 80% of it, so I'm very familiar with the code. But so my I guess mentality going into it was because a lot of people still use SMS or stuff like this. We didn't want to outright just remove it. So we kind of came out with this like hybrid system where the messenger natively supports both SMS, MMS, but also XMTP, and you can switch very easily between using both. One other difference, so one other big change that we did is that, for instance, your contacts on the phone, we change them to allow for a if address to be added to them. So when you go, for instance, in the messenger, we can capture that. And if an address is present or INS, we can intercept that and, okay, switch automatically to use XMTP first and use SMS, MMS more as of like, okay, shit, last resort. And it's actually a little bit initially when we were developing the dGEN1, we were even thinking, should we even bother with SMS, MMS? It's like very dated. It's prone to security vulnerabilities. So we kind of felt like, okay, this is just legacy tech. Probably we shouldn't care about it. But for this iteration, we felt it will be prudent to keep it. But we really are huge believers of centralized messaging, and we want to support such protocols. And just, I guess, one small thing, most applications nowadays on Android, if they want to do like push notifications, you have to go through Google. It's a whole ordeal. There's no like, okay, I can say third party that is widely supported because it has to work with Google Play services. So the way we go around about that is that on Android, you can create something called system services, which is like kind of like backend applications that you don't really see. Basically, they run on the background of the device. And what we can do is that once you open the messenger for the first time and you instantiate XMTP, I guess user sorry, account for to use on the XMTP messenger, we spinned up this service in the background, and basically we just fetch the messages as they arrive, and then we serve them the notification natively. So we kind of went away. So we don't need to use that. We are completely detached from any Google API or whatever, and we kind of and yeah. And so I think that's something very cool because I guess there's a lot of us like funky stuff about that, and yeah, so we support XMTP v3, so group messaging should work out of the box, I hope. And but I will test before, obviously. And yeah, that's kind of what I have to say on that.
Yeah, and honestly, to add to that, we really think that like also phone numbers in general are legacy technology, and they're really bad because you require KYC, and like in Austria at least, anytime you get any SIM card, you need a KYC to like use it actually, and I think that's really bad. And changing phone numbers is horrible. Just today, I got a call from a blocked number. At first, I ignore it, then I pick up, and it's like, hello, this is John from Amazon. And I'm like, right. And then I block it. But it's so annoying. And it's like we really think, we should replace phone numbers with better tech. And better tech is just like, if address you can just spin up a new one every second, and decentralized technologies like XMTP.
So this sounds like, an amazing messaging app. is there a plan to kind of make some of these infrastructure investments you made into a platform for other devs that are going to be building on top of the dGEN1? So, we have a lot of builders on the call. How might they take advantage of some of this hard work you've been doing to make push notifications go away and have this run as a system service?
Yeah, so making a system service as a dev is not really possible, but we want to make like a decentralized way to receive notifications. I think the greatest thing is running stuff locally and not having to rely on a server. And if I talk to devs, it would be great to have like stuff more as a background service, and instead of like running on a remote server. But yeah, on that note, like we definitely like on the OS, like all the APIs, the entire code is number one open source. And working, like we created an SDK to work with the OS of a wallet, and we think we made it really simple by just throwing out the like current definition that is very overloaded and very messy, and we just create an SDK that is very easy to use. And not only for the dev, but also like for the user, it'll have like an incredible user experience because you don't need to switch off the app. And now, especially for like up and coming games, this is cool because it's like, okay, you can use your main wallet without having to switch, anytime you want to do a transaction, every time you want to do an action, you have to switch to your wallet and sign. That's kind of annoying. But if it's just like seamless integrated, I think that's awesome. And we really want to support any potential app developer. You can DM me, and putting them on our app store as well. It's really important.
Yeah, also like for more general push notifications, we are working alongside push protocol to see if we can come with some kind of generalized SDK for developers to run natively on the dGEN1. It's still in the works, so I can't really go into it, but we are definitely thought about it, and I'm sure we're going to do something in the near future about that. So more on that soon.
So you mentioned gaming as one area where there might just be apps that don't work on other devices because the UX is too bad, but are actually going to be successful on the dGEN1. Are there other apps you're thinking about that might just be unlocked by this seamless wallet interaction that you can offer by baking it into the OS natively?
Yeah, I think a lot of stuff that hasn't been explored yet, like in real life stuff, where it's like, okay, you have a GPS sensor, you can use that. Like we just at the beginning, we were like thinking, okay, what can this unlock? And it was like one thing is like, what if you had like a recovery method for your wallet, where it's you have to walk a certain path, and it like checks the GPS locations and then gives you the recovery method. So it's like we're not super sure, the exact things, but definitely like I think great UX always produces new ways to do stuff that weren't possible before.
Yeah, that's a really neat idea. Yeah, and I'm sure builders on this call, the wheels are turning in their head, thinking about different crypto applications that would just be 100x better if the wallet was seamless and transparent.
Plus, I guess also just to a quick side note, a lot of when you create an application, I guess at least I speak from experience, you kind of think in the standards that already exist right now. So if the current infrastructure it's limited, so then the application that will come from it will be kind of toe the line with that limitation that already exists. But if the infrastructure is there to allow for more encompassing experience, that will I think also unlock basically unlock for more complicated and more meaningful applications. At least for now, a lot of crypto is very like DeFi centered. And I think there is a lot of unexplored territory, especially when we talk about social graphs, which only just right now is being started to be worked on. And for instance, something that I'm thinking. Obviously, this is just very high level, but for instance, like a lot of SMS applications already have like some type of algorithm that checks if a message is probably going to be a spam call or a message, and it would be cool to maybe through social graphs to basically kind of weight specific addresses where this very likely is like a genuine address because this guy talked with this other guy and this guy is genuine. So if they've interacted with each other, then you're a-okay, and you can kind of so then the fact that the chain is like open source, you can see everything, really unlocks for powerful experiences, which cannot be really replicated in WebShoe as we know right now.
Yeah, and not only that, regarding your point, basically we are working on the dGEN, we want to put an LLM on the device. And one of the interesting things would be, for example, like when you sign a transaction, that the LLM basically takes the input parameters of this transaction and then basically for the user figures out what is this transaction actually going to do. Is it okay, sending one ETH to this address, or is it actually going to steal all your NFTs? And and that, of course, we also, just like the wallet, basically making it OS centric so that apps can build upon that. Because I think that's also like an issue that happens with like AI mobile apps. It's like, okay, I'm downloading this app, and now either the developer has to pay a lot of money for like APIs, or the app is going to be 5 gigabytes because it needs to download a whole model. And just the best way is to generalize it into the OS and make it so that like developers can actually work on the experiences instead of having to hassle with like, low level stuff.
Yeah, that would be really exciting to build on top. I can imagine a lot of very cool use cases where having just a device native LLM be very powerful. So for all the builders on the call, I'm sure they're curious how you were able to build and finance such an ambitious project as a small team, without going the venture capital route at the start. How did you kind of make this work?
Yeah,
sure, I guess.
If just a little bit at the beginning, basically it was pretty like, for me, it was a passion project. At the time, I just got out of high school and I didn't have a job. And so I was just working on that. And I also expected to get like a letter from the government because in Austria you have to go to the military. So it was like it would have been stupid to kind of start studying and get a letter to go to the military and then have to stop studying. So I just started as a passion project. And then for the first year, we like worked towards, making just the first version. And how we started really was very rudimentary. Mark, co-founder of ours, was graciously like providing me a pixel free to test it. He bought it off eBay and sent it to me, and to like work on the first version of the OS, which was fun. And I was just like for the first year just working on ethOS, going to the military, and then in the evening coming home working on ethOS again.
Yeah, also to add, like I guess for the first 1.5 year, maybe even longer, like it was entirely bootstrapped, so we didn't get any sort of payment. We didn't even expect it, honestly. Kind of was like, very humble beginnings. I think the first time we went, I even went on a flight. It was like 2 years ago. It was a ETH Denver of 2022, and I think the reason, 23, sorry, oops. And the only reason why that even happened was because I think we got like some like a grant or something like that.
The ENS small grant, yeah.
Yeah, ENS small grant,
yeah.
and that's like that's how we even went there in the beginning, because obviously I couldn't find it because at the time I was like studying computer engineering, so I was like doing off ethOS, and spoiler alert, didn't really work out because university is very time consuming, so I eventually dropped out. But yeah, so basically we just did it for fun, and eventually we started getting some grants, and then we were kind of thinking, oh, you know what, maybe it can work as like really as a company and started to make money. So we basically got like super low paying as a just to stay afloat and not live under a bridge, I guess. And so we just keep pushing, and eventually we got more grants, and then right now we are in a position where we also got some angel investments, and that's kind of what like made so basically what powered the project for a long while.
Mm.
That's an amazing story. The power of just keeping your burn low and having a lot of persistence. Yeah, that's a real accomplishment. Maybe one last question. Where can people find out more about the dGEN1? Where can you reserve one or pre-order?
Yeah, you can go to freedomfactory.io, and there you can take a look at the dGEN1 itself in detail. You can get information about what it will run and the hardware specs, and also you can click on Buy dGEN in the top right corner and pre-order one.
Very cool. Thank you. Thank you both. I cannot wait to get my hands on my dGEN1.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for having us, and thank you for ordering one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your wonderful questions as well, Nick. Really helped us learn and dive deep into the adventure that Markus and Nicola have been on. Any questions from folks on the call? I know I have some. Yeah, all right. Well, I'll go ahead and ask, like, when I look at the device, it is so unique and reminiscent of a phone, but very unique elements to it. And I'm wondering how you came up with the design.
Oh, it started at ETH Denver this year, and we were basically thinking about this, like, okay, what should we do instead of a phone? And a friend of ours, his name is Salvino, he showed us some renders of a device that he would like to do, and he was like showing us and said, like, you guys should do that, because if I could, I would make this device. And it was like a thing like this a little bit, but it was kind of like in that direction of a secondary device for crypto. And we were thinking, like, okay, how can we take that and make it feel like kind of retrofuturistic? We're big fans of Star Wars, and so you'll find the R2D2 colors on this device, and just make it like a thing of how does the future look in like 80s Star Wars movies. That was the inspiration, basically.
Yeah, so I guess for the basically just as a side note, so the device has two screens, like a bigger one at the top, and then on the bottom right, a second one. That also was initially we were thinking it would be nice to have like some tactile way to approve transactions. So initially it was like some kind of slider, and eventually manufacturer were like, oh, this is not very possible, and if it were, it would be like a chore to produce, and it would probably like jam or do some other shenanigan. So we're like, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. So we were thinking, hey, this would be possible if we used like a second screen with some tactile to it. So we added this, and on the left side we kind of went with so we went to like with a 3x3 LED matrix which lights up and in specific colors, so RGBs, and you can do animation and stuff with it. We were like torn up between making like making the second screen like as big as the entire blue part, but then I was talked out of it because I was a very big proponent of that idea, but I'm not a designer, so I let them do the work. And I saw in the chat about the laser, so it's kind of like a meme that materialized into reality. So as I said before, we took very heavy inspiration from Star Trek, RoboCop, and Star Wars, and like this motif that came up every single time we talked about it. It was, oh yeah, lightsaber and whatever. And obviously we don't have lightsabers, and the best next thing was a laser pointer. And so eventually we're like, oh, should we put it? Probably not. And then eventually we're like, fuck it, let's do it. So we put the laser on it.
Yeah, so some of the funniest meetings arise from talking to hardware manufacturers about saying, yeah, I would like a laser pointer on top. And they're like, what's the purpose? And we're like, lasers.
So great. Thank you for that. And I'll just make another call. Any questions? Any requests from the audience?
Oh, wait, the second question, do I own a cat?
Oh.
No, I own 2 rabbits though.
Beautiful. How do they react to lasers? I bet they don't like
They are not impressed.
it.
They prefer to eat the floorboards and the walls.
Yeah, true.
Well, I want to mention something that I thought was really interesting about your sharing, which is the way you called out legacy technologies and things that are so deeply embedded in our lives. It would be difficult for me to see like, oh yeah, a phone number is legacy technology, or these how do you get into the mind space of thinking about that, or how do you get into the mind space of thinking about innovation, or what the best, most unique feature or use case might be? I think you two have a lock on it, and I'd love to understand how you get to that place.
I think,
Yeah.
if I could just say, basically, I think people should approach user experience in crypto as like, kind of, I feel like because the thing is, a lot of us are so into it already. Like, okay, I have to connect my MetaMask here. Oh, I need to do this in MetaMask because this doesn't work. And I think just approaching it from as if you didn't know about this, and then noticing, okay, wait, this is very weird, that we have to do this. This is very confusing. It's like, for example, one thing is we're so used to having to switch chains, and there's actually no security purpose for it. You can just switch chains. Why should you, like, as a user, have to switch chain for a dApp and then another dApp? I feel like every wallet should be on every chain at the same time. And that's also one thing about the dGEN1. It's on every chain at the same time, so you don't have to worry about it. And just like viewing something from that perspective, where it's like, okay, these are like the rules, of how everyone does it, but that doesn't mean, that there will be the rules forever, right?
Yeah, and plus, I guess most people know when something doesn't feel right, but they don't necessarily, I guess, know the way forward to fix that issue. But I guess, for instance, because we're talking about XMTP and messaging, so for instance, Google knows that SMS and MMS is shit. In fact, they're like pushing out some new standards to extend to extend it. I think it's called GSM, something like that. But basically, they're extending it because obviously there are some, it's limiting and stuff like this. And I guess internally, usually we kind of have our niche of what we like and our expertises. And how it usually works is that we kind of have this core idea and we talk about it in the team, and then we kind of refine it. And if it doesn't like pass the smell test, we kind of drop it. But if we think like it has something to it, then usually it kind of goes where we kind of think about it for a longer time and see if we can implement it in some sort of way, like some kind of MVP. And then if we like it and it makes sense, then that's where like we kind of try to lock it into like a concrete feature, and then we package it the best way we can and try to ship it.
Wonderful. Thanks for much for thank you for sharing. And I'm a big fan of your Discord as well. For ethOS, there are a lot of interesting developer ideas and very welcoming spirit there. And when
Thank you.
I bought my dGEN1 and had some payment, issues, Nicola and Markus were the support, like handling
Yeah.
thousands of requests, and it was amazing. The both of you so calmly and uh in such a generous way providing support. So thank you for that. Um, and I'm wondering, Naomi, not to put you on the spot, but I'm wondering if you want to share some engineering updates today. I know we just had a meeting last week, but there's some maybe folks on the call might want to learn about what we have in the works. What do you think?
Yeah, last week was a short week, so I think the slide that we used last week will still work this
Fantastic.
week. So we are working on V3 frame support, and eventually soon probably V2 frames, Farcaster V2 frame support. So this is V3 frame support in terms of supporting XMTP V3 is ability to use frames. And then eventually, hopefully sometime in the new year, we'll add V2 frame support for Farcaster's V2 frames. We're working on HMAC push notification support, streaming support in the browser. We have a big revamp on content types management. This is going to be really exciting. We have a PR opened last week that kind of shows the improvements here for that. Going deep on some bug fixes and performance, hoping to have those merged this week. And then obviously our long-running initiatives, decentralization, and a new version of Converse that is V3 only is coming down the line. So a lot of good stuff. Hopefully when we get through 1, 2, and 3 in this list, we'll make another version of the SDK 3.1 that will be kind of a full-featured V3 version. So yeah, exciting stuff.
Great. Thanks so much. Thank you, Naomi. Any last thoughts?
I would love to we are really big fans of XMTP, and we've been building with XMTP for some time now. We had the first Android SDK, which was funny to implement, and we are very bullish.
I remember like 1 year ago, something like that, we chatted with some devs of XMTP, and they asked us, how could we improve dev UX? And we're like, oh, you know what? A Kotlin or Java SDK would be so nice. And at the time, we didn't even have plans to change the messenger at the time. So it was like, oh, eventually we have to do it, but no concrete plans. And lo and behold, a couple of months later, Kotlin SDK. And so we are very thankful for it, especially at the time, because there weren't nowadays too. There aren't many mobile apps that use Kotlin or Java. It started to increase, but a lot of stuff is like React or React Native. So I think it was very kind of them to put the hours in and development time to create it, because it really
We're
saved
very
us some time.
bullish. We're very bullish on native code. It's fast.
That was 2 years ago. I know you guys said a year ago. That was
Oh,
yes, I started at XMTP 2 years ago in 2 days. And the first thing
Wow.
I did was write a Kotlin SDK, and I released it in February of that following year. So that was, and I'm pretty sure I met with you guys afterwards. But
Yeah.
but yeah, 2 years ago. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Time.
That is crazy. Whoops. Time moves fast when you're having fun.
Right.
Nice. All right. Well, my gosh, thank you so much for such a fascinating call and for sharing all of your experiences and your journey with us. Love
Gladly. Yeah. Thank you for
bullish as
having
well.
us.
Oh,
Thank you for having
yeah,
us.
absolutely. All right, folks, we'll call it a wrap. We'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya.
See ya.